सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Together we'll chant verses 11 to 20, chapter 8, Bhagavad Gita.
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च मूर्ध्याधायात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधारणाम् ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् मामनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम् अनन्यचेताः सततं यो मां स्मरति नित्यशः तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्मः दुःखालयमशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः आब्रह्मभुवनाल्लोकाः पुनरावर्तिनोऽर्जुन मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते सहस्रयुगपर्यन्तम् अहर्यद्ब्रह्मणो विदुः रात्रिं युगसहस्रान्ताम् देवोरात्रविदो जनाः अव्यक्ताद्व्यक्तयः सर्वाः प्रभवन्त्यहरागमे रात्र्यागमे प्रलीयन्ते तत्रैवाव्यक्तसंज्ञके भूतग्रामः स एवायम् भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे वशः पार्थ प्रभवत्यहरागमे परस्तस्मात्तु भावोऽन्यः अव्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः यस्य सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति.
Sankiji, are you muted?
Thank you, Bharat. Verse 11 spoke about the nature of that imperishable Brahman. What is that ultimate truth in this world? What is there an ultimate reality? All the scriptures around the world almost univocally say that there is. I don't think there's any debate about whether there is a reality or not amongst all religious literature. Of course, the atheist will debate that, but there are also two types of atheists. Atheists which reject the concept of a personal God, and atheists which reject the concept of a reality. So atheists who reject the concept of a personal God are not really atheists in the Vedantic definition of the term, because Vedanta itself does not posit a personal God and say that it is necessary to believe in it. If you wish to believe in it, it doesn't have an objection, but it doesn't say you should not believe in God. It doesn't say it like that, but it does not say it is necessary. For those who want it, of course, why not? But the concept of the transcendental reality in Vedanta goes beyond the concept of saguna into nirguna. So with a certain class of atheists, at least, Vedanta has no debate. So that doesn't, of course, mean that we say that having saguna upasana is bad. Nobody's saying that. So please get that clear. Don't claim something that Vedanta is not claiming. But what is the nature of that Lord, of that God, of that reality, of the transcendental? This is important to understand. So what does he tell us in the last verse? The Lord himself tells us. So I suppose there can't be a better authority for that. So in the last three verses, he says, that which means that up there, not that it is up there, but that thing that we are all pursuing. It's what the knowers of the Vedas call imperishable. Knowers of the Vedas means the knowers who know it. Knowing the Vedas means knowing the transcendental reality. There is no concept of knowing the Vedas and not knowing the reality. It's not about memorizing the Vedas. Therefore, the knower of Vedas is not supposed to be the Pandit who can chant the Vedas. He may or may not know it. The knower of the Vedas is he who knows the transcendental reality, or she who knows the transcendental reality, or anything that knows the transcendental reality. That's the knower of the Veda. So Vedavit means knower of the Veda, because the word Veda literally means knowledge. So those are the knowers of the Veda. Means you could be a knower of the Veda without ever having heard of the word Veda. You never read a Veda. You didn't know that there were 4 Vedas and still could be a Vedavit. Because the word is used in such a Catholic sense. It is in the sense of those who know the truth, call that transcendental reality. Aksharam. He always said that, right? He's always maintained that. From the beginning of this chapter, he said Aksharam. जिसका शर भाव नहीं है, that which cannot be destroyed, that which will undergo no change, basically, that which cannot be destroyed. So how many things you can understand from this? If you start with this point that transcendental reality cannot be destroyed, first and foremost, you understand the concept that anything that is real stays, isn't it? How can something real not stay? Suppose I ask Anita her name. I say, what is your name? She tells me, I'm Sunita. Next day I asked her, what is your name? She says, I am Shilpa. Third day I ask her, what is your name? She says, I'm Sunaina. Then what will I ask her?
What is your real name?
What is your real name? Every day I meet Bharat with a different boy and he says, this is my brother. Next, Sunil. Next day I meet Bharat. He says, this is with some other boy. And who is this? This is my brother. He is Mukesh. Third day I meet Bharat with yet another boy. I say, who is this? He says, this is Sanjay. Fourth day I meet him and he says, this is Rajesh, this is Ramarandar, my brother, my brother, my brother. Everybody is your brother. So the natural question I will ask him is,
who is your real brother?
who is your real brother? Everybody is introducing as my brother. So now I've understood that he thinks of the whole world as his brothers. That's why I said, Baba, who's your real brother? Because anything that lasts, we can understand this instinctively. The real thing is the thing that lasts. Every day I show you a different lady and say, this is my mother. You will naturally say, who is your real mother, Baba? Everybody is your mother. How is that? Who is your real mother? Meaning lasting. So, what is the nature of that reality? It is unchanging. This is instinctively comprehensible to us. It's something lasting, it's unchanging. When you say this is real love, what do you mean? It's an unchanging love. When you say real hatred also, what do you mean? It's unchanging hatred. You say this is real courage. What do you mean? It's a sustainable courage. It's not a courage that goes away. So what is the nature of that reality? It has to be aksharam. It has to be imperishable. What does it mean that it is imperishable? It means there cannot be change. That's what it means. Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti. What the Vedavid called the Akshara. You can understand so much. This is the nature of philosophy. You say one thing and you can understand so many things out of that. You know, my mother used to say to me after like 15 years of studying Vedanta, it was in the ashram itself for about 8-9 years. And then she knew that I got up in the morning, she studied. One day she got very fed up with me. She said, Arey, Baba, I've understood people do their school, their college, they'll do graduation, they'll do post-graduation, they'll do PhD. I don't understand. Every day, what are you studying? Are you so dumb? Like you can't get it only. What's wrong with you? When does the study ever end? I can understand the frustration. It's like, when is this girl going to do something with her life? This studying is only going on, never getting anywhere. Okay, BAs happened, MAs happened, PhD has also happened, still studying. Anything, is any sensible thing in that? Okay, so why are we talking about this? Nobody
Reality.
was listening. Okay, so what is it to do with my poor mother?
What is the nature of the...
Okay, so
Unchanging.
okay, so
Forever.
It's permanent.
Forever.
Permanent.
Permanent. It's forever.
what is it to do with studying forever?
Fate
Because
till you reach it.
till you get it,
Unending.
Nobody listens. I don't know why I do this. Why nobody has been listening. This is what I know.
Unending.
So what is it to do with this? My mother saying that why are you going on and on studying?
Because learning is a continuous process.
Not in this context.
Okay.
Because you're trying to realize the real thing what you were saying, like what is,
Okay.
like you were
maybe
giving the example
whatever.
of
Okay, but what is it to do? Remember where we are. We are on Yad Aksharam Veda Vido Vadanti. Vedavid call it Aksharam. Now suddenly we've got to my mother's complaints about her daughter. So उसमें क्या connection क्या है?
Your mother doesn't understand the reality?
Yeah, tell her that. She'll give you one whack. Yeah, this one understands and I don't understand. No, you're not listening. If I shift slightly, you'll have to know that I have shifted. Because if you don't know I have shifted, you're not paying attention. I made a slight shift here. I got to the next point. And nobody has recognized that I got to the next point. First I was explaining how is it what are the various characteristics of something that is real. Then I took a slight diversion, going to another point, saying that anything of any kind of depth can have multiple meanings. So if you go on studying Vedanta, you go on studying Vedanta, you go on studying Vedanta, it will go on giving you new meanings because it has that much depth. But if you study 2 plus 2, after 2 days you cannot study 2 plus 2 because now you know it. But if you study this sentence, Yat Aksharam Veda Vido Vadanti, and you just take this sentence for the rest of your life, for the rest of your life you can get meanings out of it. So there are multiple meanings in this thing, multiple meanings. So that's what we were doing, the whole chain of meaning. So first and foremost, it is Aksharam. The knowers of the Veda, that means the knowers of the truth, know that that reality is unchanging. So what does it mean? Okay, so you understood it's unchanging. Now I say, okay, it's unchanging, God is unchanging, I know that, now let's move to the next point. No, stop. What does this mean? It is unchanging. It is imperishable, means it doesn't change. It doesn't change means there is no beginning, there is no end. God doesn't appear and disappear. It doesn't happen like that. There can be no beginning, no end. Not I got darshan of the Lord and the Lord went away, or I went away. Nahi ho sakta ye sab. If it is unchanging, it cannot be a substance, right? Because all substances have to change. In fact, it cannot be anything I know because I don't know anything that doesn't change. As far as I can tell, everything in this world changes. It's only a question of time. So this thing, whatever that reality is, cannot be known by us because we cannot see anything unchanging. We may not perceive it. There's nothing here which is unchanging. So how many things have you got from that one line? It is imperishable, meaning no change, meaning not a substance, meaning nothing from the world. You can go on because every time you reflect upon it, it will give you another perception into this thing. That's the depth of the scripture. That's what's frustrating for people outside. They say, what, you're going on studying the same thing? I tell people that there are people in my class who have been there 15 years, some have been there 20 years, and they say, are they all dumb? They don't get it the first time? Every time you can get a new thing out of exactly the same thing. And I'm sure you have experienced this too. The more you reflect on it, the more you get out of it. It's like ganna, sugar cane. The more you chew it, the more juice comes. You don't chew it at all. It's a tasteless thing. People can get bored with Vedanta. Many people tell me, oh, Vedanta is all about Brahman. You're not interested in Brahman because you don't know how to chew the knowledge. If you knew how to chew the knowledge, there is no way you can get bored with it at any point. In fact, in the Gita it says it is always nectarine. Always nectarine. Because no matter how much you chew it, the juice is never done. So now think about this. Yat aksharam veda vido vadanti. What the Vedavit call akshara, the imperishable. It doesn't change. It's not a substance. Therefore, it is not from the world. Therefore, if it's not from the world, that means it is nothing that I can perceive or feel or think. Because anything that I can perceive, feel, or think changes. So if I get darshan of the Lord, that means I have not found the reality. Because it will change. If the Lord speaks to me, I haven't found the reality because it will change. He was speaking, he stopped speaking. Doesn't count. So like this, if you go on thinking about it, you get some glimpse into it. At least you get a glimpse into what it is not. And so Vedanta is nothing but the removal of misunderstandings. All the misunderstandings have to go away. Now what remains is knowledge. It's not this, it's not this, it's not this. The traditional method of Vedanta is always neti neti. Not this, not this, not this. Cannot be this, cannot be this, cannot be this. Vedantin is one who in his heart knows it cannot be this. This is not right, this is not right, this is not right. In his heart, he or she knows that. No, this is not my final resting place. This is not my final resting place. This is not my final resting place. It is not this. It is not here. This is not. Whatever I have found is not the truth. I have a long journey ahead of me. That quest is called mumukshatva. This the recognition of that no, this is not done. I'm not done with this. It may take me 10 years, 20 years, 10 janmas, 20 janmas. I don't know how long it will take me, but I'm not done with it yet. In fact, every time I open it, if I can read something new, what have I understood in the previous sessions? Something for us to think about. Still getting it, still getting it, still getting it. When am I going to get it? I don't know. That quest is the single most important thing in your pursuit of Vedanta. The moment you feel I know it, Vedanta is over. It's just over. The quest is over. So that which the Veda know, the truth, is not in this world. It's not a substance. Every substance has a beginning and end. It is not something that I can perceive or feel or think. That means whatever I have perceived, whatever I have felt, whatever I have thought, not the reality. Just understand that. So that quest cannot go. How can that quest die if you understood? Just fooling around in some nonsense here. Instead of stretching out to the ultimate truth. How do you reach that ultimate truth? Also he is giving. Vishanti yad yatayo vitaragaha. Vitaragaha, whose ragaha, whose likes and dislikes, whose desires, whose cravings, whose longings have subsided. Now, why is this an important condition? Why should I not have desires to know the truth? Why is this even an important condition? Look at it from the point of view of the world. Can anyone who has a desire with reference to something see the truth of it? Can we see our own sons' faults and virtues? Can a mother be told that this is wrong with your son and she says, yes, you're right, I agree? Does this happen? Can you make an assessment of how pretty your daughter is in comparison to other people's daughters? How come my daughter is always the prettiest? As a child, I used to be fascinated by this. My mother thought that her son was God's gift to mankind. She doted on him. And I used to think, everybody doted on my brother, and so he's somebody worth doting for. Okay, then I had an aunt. One day she happened to be talking, and from the way she was talking, I realized that same thing my mother had for her son, this one has for her son. Because my mother claimed my brother is the best in the whole family. And my aunt was claiming that her son is best in the whole family. My cousin, obviously. My cousin was also very nice. I was very fond of him. So I was confused. Is my brother the best son in the family, or is my cousin the best son in the family? You know. Now both these ladies, there was a third aunt, and they didn't think about that son so much. Because it's a family, everybody loves everybody, but in their own minds, they thought this one is the more intelligent one. When that third aunt was speaking to me, I realized she actually thought that her son was the smartest of the whole lot. This very confused me because for a child it's black and white. Somebody is smartest or not the smartest. How can this be that everybody thinks different people are smart? Very confusing. I'm not sure why. I still don't. I couldn't for many years figure out. So finally, who is the smartest? Because whoever I spoke to seemed to give me like valid reasons for why they thought whatever they thought. Very confusing for the child. No confusion for those three ladies. They were clear about it. They were confident about it. You couldn't argue with them. They'll dash down any logic of yours. Why is it that they had no confusion?
Desire for their child.
Desire. And we think so much of confidence, We think confidence is a great thing. Confidence, it only shows that's what you desire. Go to a person who enjoys alcohol. He will convince you that there's no joy in life without alcohol. Go to a person who thinks much of money. He will convince you that without money there's no life. Go to a woman or a man who thinks love is very important and relationships are very important. He will convince you exactly the same thing. The way they will tell you is you'll say, yeah, correct, he has a point. A philosopher is one who can see everybody's point and know that no point is complete. Yes, what you're saying is true. Yes, what you're saying is also true. It's all true. It's just incomplete. So Srila says, desires cause you to have bias. That's right. Desires cause you to have bias. That sentence is amazing, because if you can really understand what it means, how desires cause you to have bias, we just think that desires cause you to have bias means two people fight, then you can't be impartial, you will choose one of the two. No, your whole life long, you're pursuing in life what you have desire for, not that which ought to be pursued. In everything this works, not just in like, okay, let's be impartial towards things. No, my whole life is based on a misunderstanding, because I'm pursuing that which ought not to be pursued in the first place. And if it ought not to be pursued in the first place, how come I don't know that? Desire blocks my vision. Just blocks my vision. Can't see it. Yes, Srila, desire leads to attachment, and that causes a partial view. Correct. So he says, if you wish to know the whole truth, this curtain of desires will have to go. Because if it is there, how are you going to see the truth? You will only see what you desire. If Vedanta doesn't shake you up in this world, nothing will. Everything we are seeing is incorrect. The reason we are seeing it is because we have that particular desire. I chose early in life not to have children. So one of my students had a child one day. He came to me. He was very, very, he loved his child dearly. So he came to me one day and he said, I thought it was fascinating. He said, you really have to have a child, because without having a child, you just can't understand what it means to have a child. The kind of, I'm not even telling you as well as he told me, he half convinced me. He said, without a child, you've never experienced any joy in this world. And I heard many people talk about that being the greatest joy. It's very interesting, isn't it? Different people have different views on what is the greatest joy. And they may be right in telling us, you don't know what that great joy is. Maybe they're, maybe they're right. Maybe they're not. But go and tell a person who wants a child that that is not the greatest joy. They will never, ever. It is their experience. Now think about all the things that we want. And we are sure that if we had them, we are going to be entirely happy. Can you imagine spending your whole life on a misunderstanding? Just a misunderstanding? Are we mad? What is wrong with us? And for that misunderstanding, we will fight with people, we will cry, we will undertake negative activity, we do, I don't know what all we will do, what all chaos, confusion, and disaster we are going to create out of this whole thing. All based on a misunderstanding. And what is that misunderstanding?
Ichha desh samuthinam.
Sorry?
Ichha dvesha samuthinam is arising from your desires for aversion.
Yes. To not see the truth because of your likes and dislikes, because of the desire. Just can't see it. Just can't see it. You know, many women come to me and they complain about their husbands in various ways. And they say, you know, my husband, he treats me so badly. He never appreciates anything I do. He never understands me. He never appreciates me. And I'm telling you in 2 sentences. It takes me 2 hours to hear those 2 sentences. 2 hours I hear this basic concept that he doesn't understand me and he doesn't appreciate me. You mean he doesn't understand you and doesn't appreciate you? Wouldn't it just be nice to say that instead of telling me 25 stories? I mean, that's nice because then I can come to class and tell you all nice stories. But the fact is, the point is only 2. He doesn't understand and he doesn't appreciate. Now, she spent 2 hours telling me this. And painfully, I have listened. But I have understood that he doesn't listen to you and he doesn't appreciate you. I understood this. You're giving me 25 examples to show me this. I've understood it. When you go back home, you expect that he will understand you, he will care for you, he'll appreciate you. Now, here is a husband who doesn't appreciate his wife, he doesn't praise his wife, he doesn't listen to her. How do we know this? Because the wife told us. You know the one person who doesn't understand this? Who doesn't
The wife.
understand this? The wife. She doesn't get it. She's saying it. She's grumbling about it. She doesn't get it. So when she wants to get a little love, who does she go to?
Husband.
Her husband. Is she not insane? Are you mad? If she wants praise, who will she go to?
Husband.
Husband. If this is not insanity, what is insanity? I don't know. You are claiming here is a person who doesn't praise you, who doesn't appreciate you, who doesn't listen to you. If you want to be listened to, you go to that person. If you want love, you'll go to that person. If you want praise, you'll go to that person. Pagal hai kya? Can't get it. He doesn't listen. He doesn't praise. So when I want either listening or praise, this is not the person I go to. What is so difficult in that? You know, this a very sweet girl who calls me sometimes, and she tells me that you really should do this relationship counseling. She's been on my case for a long time. You should do relationship counseling. You will be so good. You do this, you do that. You listen to her carry on. My point is, why would anyone need relationship counseling if If what?
They could see the reality.
If they have the knowledge.
If they just took cognizance of what is happening. So when you go to somebody to ask for advice, what is it that they are telling you? Is it something they're telling you that you don't know yourself? The only difference is they put a mirror in front of you. You said he doesn't care, so they will repeat to you, he doesn't care. No, that's all it is. Why? And they go and spend, I don't know how many billions of dollars are spent on listening to somebody tell you what you just told them. Why can't you see it yourself? Why can't you? Can't see it. So an important characteristic of knowing the truth is, for knowing the truth is,
Keeping your likes and dislikes aside.
no desires. I hope you can now see the connection between no desires and knowing the truth. You cannot know the reality. So that's why it says, Vishanti yadyatayo vitaragaha. They enter who have managed to be vitaragaha, who have removed their desires, freed from passion. Yat icchantaha brahmacharyam charanti. In desiring which they walk the path of Brahman. That means they have the goal of finding the reality and they desist from any activity that prevents them from doing so. Brahman charati iti brahmacharya. You have the goal of knowing the reality, you have a quest for knowing the reality, and therefore you keep away from anything that, according to you, is going to interrupt that path. Tat padam, that goal, aham pravakshami, I am going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what that goal is. Samgrahena, in brief. Oh, here are some questions. Sarthak, in the chapter, Krishna emphasizes the time of death we remember him, which means at death I desire God, not zero desires. I think when Krishna says all desires must be gone, he says all material desires. Whatever you think, Sarthak, if you would like us to analyze your whatever your thoughts are, you'll have to give us reasons. How can you say I think when Krishna says I think? Like on what basis? At least give us some reason. If you have a conclusion already, why do we need to discuss it? We can discuss your reasons. On what basis can you say that when Krishna says all desires must be gone, he means material desires? That means if a person has emotional desires, it's okay. If you have desires for Krishna also, it's okay. On what basis? How?
No, ma'am, I am saying only desire for Krishna. Like throughout the Gita, he's always saying constantly, remember me. And if at the time of death I am remembering him, then I am not having zero desires, right? He is saying that at the time of death, remember me, which means I have desire for God then at the time of death, not zero desires.
But please understand what it means death over here. Which death is he talking about? We did it in class. You paid attention or not? This is the problem. Nobody listens. I don't know why I speak. Nobody is listening over here. What does death in this context mean?
Death of the physical body?
No. Because as you rightly said, if at the time of the death of the physical body, you had a desire for Krishna, you will not get it. How can you?
Last state of meditation?
Death of the ego, yes. It is death of the ego. It's death of the individuality, of the personality. Because when you're at that stage, you're actually, without a personality, you cannot have a desire for Krishna, right? So because that's the last thing you do before realization. Come to that last desire, drop the last desire, and what remains is the truth, is the reality. There is no you to experience Krishna because there are no two things. So If at all, if you think that all desires mean material desires, then what? If a person wants to have a child, get married, is all okay? Or is that material desires?
Ma'am, my definition of material desire is any desire except God is a material desire. So my definition must be wrong, but when I say material desire, I mean that any desire except God, because throughout Gita he is emphasizing on remembering him. So like I was saying that that must be desire for God. He is emphasizing on having a desire for God, which means that zero desire thing that was not fitting right with me.
Okay, understand it fully, if it's not fitting, think about it again. If remembering him means thinking completely of him at all times, isn't that sensible? Any goal in life can be achieved only if you're thinking about it. Otherwise, how are you going to achieve it? You've forgotten about it. How are you going to achieve it? Another thing that is required for achievement of any goal is the dropping of every other desire, because they will if they interrupt the path to the goal, you're not going to get it. Now, in the case of understanding the reality of the truth, the desire for Krishna will make you see the form of Krishna. The desire for Rama will make you see the form of Rama. The desire for Christ, or whatever it is, will make you see those particular forms. But the reality lies beyond them all. It is beyond. As long as you have an individuality, you have these thoughts. These thoughts create your world. When you're able to drop the thoughts, there is no world, there is no individuality. What remains is God. So when he says all desires, he means all desires, including desire for the self, which we will do in the next chapter. We'll hear him say it himself. Aham tva sarva papebhyaha mokshashyami masacha. Don't worry about it. I will take away all your papas, meaning all your desires. So we'll do it when we come there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sarah says death of ego. That's right. Akhila, end of experience. End of experience in the sense of all experiences. Srila, if we can rise above our expectations, we can overcome our desires. Expectations and desires are the same thing, Srila. As long as you have desires, you will have expectations. Why is it that that silly old wife cannot see that her husband won't listen to her? Because she has the desire or the expectation that he will listen to her. So even though she has been married to him for 30 years, and 30 years he hasn't listened to what she said, she still thinks he will listen to me. So she goes to say something, then he won't listen, then she'll start crying. And for 30 years, this thing will go on without her getting it. He doesn't listen. If I want somebody to listen, I should go to people who do listen. Right? I mean, it's like what's not to understand? And yet we won't get it. We won't, not you, not I, not anybody. We won't get it. Because the desire is there. And the desire makes it impossible to get something. Impossible. You just can't see it. How much ever somebody explains to you, as long as the desire is there, you will not see it. You will not see it. I will not see it. Nobody will see it. What do you say to that? What can you say to that? What argument is there with the desire? There's no argument with the desire. Somebody says, I want this. They want it. Now, what can you and I say about it? Okay, so shall we do verses 12 and 13? They are read together. Yalla, okay so far, right? Sarvadvarani sanyamya Manorudhi niruddhya cha Murdhyayat ध्यायात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधारणाम् ओमेत्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् मामनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम् सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च मूर्ध्यायात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधारणाम् ओमेत्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् मामनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम् सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य. All the doors, sarvadvarani sanyamya, having controlled. Mana rudhi niruddhyacha, having confined, having kept the mana in the hriday. This is another very often misunderstood sort of thing. What does it mean to keep your mind in your heart? Heart is used not in the literal sense, but in the figurative sense. People use this to say, oh, you must put your intellect in your mind, or I don't know what funny notions they come up with. When you say the heart of something, you mean the essence of something. The essence, like you say, the heart of the city, the heart of the problem. You mean it in that sense, right? You don't mean it as a literal heart. What it means is in the core of it, in the essence of it. So what is the heart? What is our heart in that sense is the Atman. So Mano Rudhi Niruddhyacha Sarvadvarani Sanyamya. What are the dwars of your body? This body is known as the Navadvara Dehi. Navadvara, nine-gated entity over here. It is a fort of 9 gates. Which means we have 9 apertures in our body. 2 eyes, nostril, mouth, ears. So all of them put together, all the apertures put together are our 9 apertures in the body. So it's called a 9-gated fort. It's a fort of 9 gates. Why 9 gates? Why are they called 9 gates? Because these are the 9 areas from which your mind can sort of slip out. Any one of these, your eyes can see something and mind is gone. You're listening to the lecture, your eyes saw, oh, husband has entered the room. What is he doing? Servant has come. Has he dusted properly? Eyes have seen something. So your mind is gone. Or you hear something. You hear a loud noise while the class is on. So you say, oh, what is that noise? And then you go to see it. Oh, so what happened? What happened? What happened? So these are the apertures by which the mind goes out, as it were. So Sarvadvarani Sanyamya, having closed all these gates, means not allowed your mind to go to the objects and beings of the world. Mano Rudhi Niruddhyacha, but having instead kept it in your heart in the sense of in the core of your personality, in the Atman itself. Having placed the pranam, astitaha, the mind is placed, adhyaya, atmanaha, pranam, having kept it, having kept your pranas in the Atman, yoga dharana. It means your intellect is directing these proceedings. It's never that anything is happening on its own. Things don't happen on your own in the personality. This is the first sign of control, that whatever is happening in your personality is being done by your intellect. It's not just happening. For instance, you will say, how is that possible? My heart is beating. Where is my intellect driving it? Understand what these sentences mean. Your digestion is on. Where is my intellect right? It's happening on its own. No, it's not. It is either being driven by the intellect or it's not. If the food that you ate is driven by your intellect, your digestion will purr along beautifully. If it is not directed by your intellect, the digestion will be disturbed. Similarly, if you hear of something bad or good, and your intellect is not governing it, your heart will start beating very fast. It will interrupt your digestion. All the involuntary functions, which technically the intellect is not ruling, right? The involuntary functions. They are being ruled by the intellect insofar as whenever you don't use your intellect, these involuntary functions go wrong. When your intellect works, the involuntary functions work well. What are your involuntary functions such as breathing, digestion, circulation, your heart rate, your pulse rate? These are all involuntary. You don't have to do anything about it. If you just leave it by itself, it will work fine. But no, you won't leave it by itself. The mind will want to have a say. And when the mind has a say, everything goes berserk. So you keep it under the governance of the intellect, and then everything purrs along beautifully. Okay. So established in yogic concentration. Reciting Brahman, the one-syllabled Om, remembering me, he who departs leaving the body attains the supreme goal. So I hope you have guessed what these two verses about. What are these two verses about? One word. Or two words.
Self-realization.
Yes, and meditation. It's mainly about meditation because self-realization is the goal, but what as he described over here is meditation. To which you will naturally say, why are you saying he described meditation? Because he began with Sarva Dvarani Sanyamya. Means close all the apertures of the body. Okay, then he said Mano Rudhi Niruddhyacha. Okay, he's referring to maybe the mind where okay, you've got pure emotions, your senses are controlled, your emotions are controlled, meanings they are all directed to the self. Your intellect is directing these proceedings. Yoga dharana. Intellect is directing all these proceedings. Now, why do we call it meditation? Because having controlled the gates of the body, that's not part of meditation. That is a preparation for meditation. Having control, you've already done all that. I believe we have mentioned in the classes frequently that meditation cannot be done by just about anybody. There have to be pre-meditative practices that we need. We need to prepare ourselves to get to meditation. And I think that you have been told consistently that never in the Gita will he mention meditation without mentioning the premeditative practices. Because if you do meditation without premeditative practices, your mind will crack. Don't do it. Mind will crack. You'll become a psychiatric case. Don't do it. It's a dangerous thing to do. So never in the Gita will you ever hear meditation mentioned without premeditative practices. So even though he's talking about meditation, he's saying Sarva Dvarani Sanyam, having controlled all the gates. Mano Rudhi Niruddhyacha, kept the mind in the Hriday, in the heart, meaning in the core of your personality, meaning Atman, which therefore could mean purification of emotion. It's not about putting your mind in your, I don't know what, some strange readings of this thing. Mano Nurudhi, putting the mind in the heart. So there's some strange things. Putting the mind in the heart means your mind is centered in the core of your personality. It's similar usage even in English. You say a heart of the problem, heart of the city, heart of the issue, whatever. Similarly, heart of your personality, not the literal heart, but the core of your personality is the Atman. So when your mind is there, your emotions are crystal clear, pure emotions. Then Murdni. Murdni is in the head. Pranam astita, putting your prana in the head. What is prana in the head? Now, there's all sorts of stories about how this will break out of your head and all that. I don't know where these come from. I haven't come across any of this stuff. But what does it mean? Prana refers to life's activity. So this is this last moment, okay? It's the last moments of meditation and realization. In that last moment, what is the, what should I say? What is the last activity that will happen? What is the last activity prior to meditation? Is
Thought.
Thought. Last activity prior to meditation is thought. So having established the prana in the head, that means your last activity, your thought, established in yogic concentration, yoga dharanam. Dharana means meditation. What is yoga dharanam? It is yogic meditation. What is yogic meditation? Concentration, it is that which is done for the sake of yoga. That's why it is done called yogic. Otherwise, what is there yogic about? When it is done for the sake of yoga, yoga meaning to join back to your real self, it becomes yogic concentration. When you do it to calm your mind, it is not yogic concentration. It's yogic concentration only when it's done to realize the self. Now, what is concentration? Who's going to tell me? Because we already studied this. What is concentration?
One thought on the self and leave that.
No. What is concentration?
Keeping the mind under check, mind being under the governance of the intellect.
Say the full thing.
It is an intellect keeping a mind on one thing.
Focus on the goal.
One-pointed focus.
Intellect governing your mind.
Say properly and fully. We have a proper definition that includes all the main ideas. A definition is something that has every main idea and has nothing extraneous.
Can I, Jankiji?
Can I join KG?
Okay, Anuja, go ahead.
Single point and concentration with the exclusion of any other thought. Every other. No.
Yeah, Bharat.
Mind focusing in an arena of thought under the supervision of intellect.
Very good. Even Ashya has said that mind is on a chosen object, on a chosen subject under the governance of the intellect. Concentration, remember what the question is. Concentration. What is concentration? Concentration is when your intellect keeps your mind on a chosen arena. Whatever area, some area it has kept your mind on. That is called concentration. If your mind goes to that area by itself, this is called
Indulgence.
Indulgence, correct. So when two lovers think of each other, they think single-pointedly of each other. This is not concentration and meditation. Now, what is the difference between concentration and meditation and two lovers thinking of each other? The two lovers are thinking of each other because their mind is going of its own accord.
Janki ji, I have a question. It is not related with the higher level thinking, talking which you are explaining to the others. It is related with the school students and the college students. Like in schools and colleges, sometimes we ask the children that sit for 2 minutes and do breathing exercise, inhale, exhale, and do meditation. So this word meditation, can we replace it with another word for the children instead? Because meditation is very higher level, what have been explained in the Bhagavad Gita and all. So as you are a learned person, so can you rename it for the college and school students when we ask them to inhale or exhale or do 2 minutes concentration and relax, and we say meditation, but it's not meditation actually. So could you help us in doing this, like any other name for in place of meditation?
You can use any name. You can use pranayam. You can use, I don't know, relaxation, because that's what you're saying, that you're doing pranayam and you're doing relaxation.
Yes, yes. So
You're saying pranayam and cooling down. You're trying to cool the poor kids down who are trying to run, and you're making them sit and do that. Not a nice idea. I suggest you send them out to play, not to sit down and, yeah, okay, we can teach them a little pranayam. That's good. But let children go out and play. It's not their age to sit down and cool themselves. It's express that energy.
Yeah, but now everything is online. So even before starting the class, they are from the different background. So usually teacher says, let's do meditation. But I think now it should not be a meditation. It should be some other word, like you're saying. Any other word we can say instead of
Yeah, any other word. Say prayer. Let's pray. And give activity. For a child should always be given activity. Otherwise, you're damaging the child. Child is not meant for subtle things. Child is meant for throwing a ball, falling, jumping, dancing. Child is meant for that purpose. And the child learns through that by increasing the child's experiences, not decreasing them. But of course, in a constructive way. If you leave the child alone, I know why they do that, because these children are so out of control. They said, okay, now you sit down and let us, do something. But I don't know whether, it needs study, a proper study to decide whether these are even worth it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Janki ji, can I add to it? As I do yoga from the Yoga Institute, so over there, as Rajni ji is asking that what other name can we give, and as everyone knows that meditation is loosely used nowadays, so we say that let's sit in conditioning, wherein we will just relax, bring our mind at one point, and just like we focus on breathing. So this is what we use. So I just wanted to
Okay.
add.
I can't recommend that word, because in Vedanta we use conditioning and we always saying bad things about it. So we use it in another sense. We say it, no human being should be conditioned. So I can't recommend that word. Sorry, Manisha.
So pranayam is fine.
Pranayam is good, yeah. I suppose, yeah, because that's what you are doing, right? You're teaching them to breathe.
Okay. Thank you.
Ma'am, I have a quick question. I know it's the end of the class, but can I ask?
Okay, let's see how quick you can do it.
Okay, so we found out that unfortunately events happen due to ignorance. Now, again, when it comes to result, we always say that do your work and the result will come. Why would a knowledgeable person say that? Because he would know, right, when the result would come. I'm just giving an example. Like right now, we are doing a lot of activities to increase the number of people. But we just say, do whatever you have to do. If people have to come, they would come. So isn't it slightly contradictory where we are leaving it to the unknown instead of using our intellect?
Oh, we're leaving it to the unknown. No, we are doing what we ought to do. And we figure out what we ought to do based on what we think will bring the result. But now we are saying, let us focus our attention on doing what we have to do instead of repeating and sending our attention to the result. That's what it means.
Okay.
All right. So, Bharat, what is Bharat saying? Announcement for the Gopi talk next Sunday. Yes, go ahead, Bharat. Or who's doing that announcement? Yeah.
I'll be doing it. Hari Om, everyone. Just a gentle reminder, next Sunday evening, we'll have the Gopi Chand talk with Janki ji. We'll be sharing the registration link today on the group. Please, everyone register. And today being a Sunday, please forward it to your friends and family. And throughout the week, we'll be sharing the registration material and the flyers. Please keep sharing them. Thank you.
I think we should explain to everybody, we don't know everybody here and they don't know what we are doing. I think we should have a meeting where all of us meet and understand what is happening over here. Otherwise, you will say, oh, every time they come and they say, do this announcement, that announcement, what is the purpose? I think there should be some background of all this thing. What is going on? So why don't somebody please organize a meeting for everybody who's interested in understanding the broad structure of everything, and not just understanding, but participating and helping take it forward. So everybody would like to be part of the cause, not, I mean, and not restrict themselves to only attending class. Why don't we have a meeting? Somebody should go ahead and fix some kind of meeting. Anyone volunteers to spearhead this thing?
I'll do it, Jankiji. Anybody who wants to participate can message me.
I can also help you,
And,
Bharat.
yeah, and we'll fix it.
Yeah, so let's fix it and get everybody on the same page, because otherwise it sounds like, why are you telling me to forward it? If I want to forward it, I'll forward it, you know. Vedantins are not well known for taking instructions well, but we need to understand what we are doing and what we are attempting over here. So if everybody's on the same page, that will be nice. So yes, go ahead and fix some date, time, Bharat, and let's all meet sometime.
Yep. Bharat, you can involve me, like I'll be part of it, so we can work together.
Sure. Thank you.
Anybody who wants to be part of the organizing of this meeting, please be in touch with Bharat. Okay, Hari Om.
Hari